I'm married and all this other stuff. I'm not married, never married, okay? Just want to get that out there. But I have dated. And I will say, any of us that have ever dated, we've been hoodwinked a time or two, where we done sat there and we thought that he was going to be so great for us because he sold us on all the things, or her, okay? And then we realized they ain't shit. That's where we are, and that's okay. What matters is that you wake up and you say...
In this video, I'm going to talk about someone I do like and someone I don't like. I'm not 100% with either of them on either side, but let's see if you can figure out who is who, and let's just try to understand that it's important to be nice, right? The name calling isn't good, but the ideas and talking about the ideas and the validity of the ideas is what we want to do. I'll always call balls and strikes, do my best to be objective. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm someone who wants to look at the issues and break them down in an objective way.
It's a clapback you've got to see. You probably heard what Jasmine Crockett said about Byron Donalds on that guy Lenny's radio show. She sat there and called out his wife because of her race, and then went on this rant. Now, I interviewed Byron Donalds a little while ago. You've got to see his reaction. Do not stop watching this. It's going to blow your mind.
And if we continue to put people into office, and that even means some of our skinfolk who definitely are not our kinfolk, such...
I do not like that phrase. All skinfolk are not kinfolk. It's this thing that we do in the Black community, which is just not useful. It's not helpful. All it does is divide us. We view people and we will say, well, this person doesn't have a valid opinion simply because of their political view, who they decided to marry. Now, if a Black man or Black woman decides to marry outside of their race, then their view is not valid and people will call them a sellout. However, if that person chooses to love whoever they want as far as sex or gender, then that's not an issue. It always comes down to if your political ideology aligns with theirs, then it's okay. If it doesn't, anything you do disqualifies you as being a Black person. It's problematic. It doesn't help us. All it does is causes conflict. So when Jasmine Crockett comes out and says this about Byron Donalds, who I do happen to like, it just shows who she is and what type of mindset she actually has.
Such as Byron Donalds, who are going to continue to say that, like, I mean, the fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow, like, is this because you don't understand history, or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that whitewashed you?
Well, it's because he didn't actually say that, right? He didn't say that. But, you know, it's just funny how these people just make up stuff to fake outrage about. And this is how you know their arguments are weak, when they have to basically make up the things that you said, because he actually just never said that. And they know this, but, you know, it is what it is.
You married a white woman, so you think that whitewashes you. Well, I had Byron Donalds on. He's running for governor of the great state of Florida, and it was just a great conversation. But he went there. You got to see this.
First and foremost, don't talk about my...
Before we get into that, and Byron Donalds, he's from Brooklyn, so he brings it, and it's authentic. It's unlike what Jamal Bowman does, or Jasmine Crockett, or AOC. It's not that. He's articulate. When he speaks, it looks like it's been edited. You don't have to agree with what he's saying, but the way he presents his arguments comes across as measured. It comes across as well thought out, and he has that Brooklyn swag. But he doesn't come across as mean like some of the other people do. I definitely think that Trump made an error. Byron Donalds should have been the vice president. I don't have anything necessarily against J.D. Vance, but I think what Byron Donalds brings to the table, the Republican Party could actually use. And although they will attack Byron Donalds, as they have here, because he decided to marry someone outside of his race, and therefore he's not actually a Black person, I think he would bring a lot to the table. I think the plan always was for him to run for governor. And that tees him up in a way that in the future, because he's young, in the future, he could make a presidential run, and he wouldn't be tethered to any of the mistakes that Trump might make during his administration. So as disappointed as I was that he was not the vice presidential nominee, and I think also there's some stuff in his background. I think he caught a case when he was younger. I don't know all the facts behind that, and this is public knowledge. But anyway, back to this video.
My wife. Keep my wife out of this. Ain't got nothing to do with her. You could talk to me about policy anytime you want to. Secondarily, there was a couple of times on the campaign trail last year where I know I was booked to be on stage or to be in debate with Jasmine, and all of a sudden her schedule changed. She had a conflict, whatever the case might be. So if she wants to do this, if she wants to have that debate, I'm easy to find. You know, you ain't got to look hard for me. You know, I'm 6'2". You can find me. It's pretty easy. Number three, and most importantly, this demonstrates, frankly, the racism in the Democrat Party. Because
let me build on that point. Have you noticed? You will never, ever, ever, and I have never seen AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan, any of the squad in a debate. I've never seen them in a debate. And one of the things that I do find that objectively, and you can test this, the people on the right will go into the enemy territory, so to speak. They'll have the conversations, they'll debate, they'll say things. I've never seen AOC in a debate where it's a true debate where she is going up against someone who has opposing ideas or opposing views. Byron Donalds, Trump, all of the people on the right that are there, I guess they don't have any choice because the media is run and it does tend to be more left-leaning. But I like the point that he made that come on stage, let's talk, let's get the ideas out. We don't have to attack each other's personalities, but let the voting population hear the points of view. Bring your facts, I'll bring my facts, and then let the people decide. I would love to see that, but it never happens.
they don't have a problem when Kamala Harris is married to a white man or when Ketanji Brown Jackson's married to a white man, as long as they subscribe to the politics of the Democratic left. As long as you do that, everything is fine.
Exactly.
But if you're a conservative, but your spouse happens to be white or of another race, then all of a sudden it's a problem. This is the racism that occurs in the Democrat Party. I'm sick of it, tired of the BS. I tell any one of them who have a concern about me and what they think my views are, debate me. And if you don't want to debate me, Google me. There's plenty of information out there because I know that I have the facts. I have the information. I can back my stuff up. All they can do is throw out innuendos, throw out talking points. And the last thing I'll say about Ms. Crockett, and I'm going to leave it alone. Jasmine, I don't use talking points. Nobody tells me what to say. And so I know how to deliver a message because I have facts, I have logic, I use economics, I don't get into hyperbole. So if you are concerned about some of the things that I say find a show. It could be whatever show you want to. We'll sit there and do it. We'll have a good time along the way, and you'll go ahead and be defeated very quickly.
Make sure you're following this channel right here. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure that you comment.
Yo, I mean, Byron Donalds said, let's just cut the BS, right? We don't have to go back and forth. Okay, you can meet me anywhere and we can hash it out, right? That's basically what he's saying. And I respect it. I really do. Now, do I think that Jasmine Crockett is going to take him up on it? Probably not. Okay, probably not, right? But, you know, hey, I do find it, again, interesting how there's always criticism for black men who date outside of the race, right? But when black women do it, it's celebrated, right? They celebrated Kamala Harris for doing it. Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I'm not sure if I agree with that. I'm not sure if it's celebrated. As Byron Donalds says, it's more about what the political viewpoint of that person is. And for me, as far as that whole marrying in or outside of your race, I think there's a culture thing that we need to look at. I would rather have a man or a woman married outside of their race, let's just say, and the whole race thing to me is hard to define sometimes, and have a solid foundation, a solid family where both of them love each other, they're taking care of their kids, and they're good role models in the community. So what would you prefer? Would you prefer a black man marry a black woman? He leaves that black woman. The kids are growing up without a father, which happens a lot in the black community. Or would you rather them find someone who they love, they can build, they share values with? The values to me are as important as the race. However, I do also understand the narrative about building black families, etc. But it's all about personal preference. And if you're going to look at somebody like Byron Donalds, who you should be proud of as a black man, regardless of his political views, similar to Candace Owens, who I don't like. I don't agree with her stance. I think she comes across as mean-spirited, but I have 2 daughters. And if one of my daughters was to, just on the back of intellect and hard work, get themselves to a level where they're world known for their thoughts, not for taking off their clothes, not for being raunchy. If they were to get to that point, even if I disagreed with their political views, I'd be proud of the accomplishment. And we need to start doing that. I'm proud of Kamala Harris. I'm proud of Michelle Obama. I'm proud of people that I don't agree with them politically, but I admire what they were able to achieve. And we need to do that more. And that's what we need to show our kids. We need to show more love, more grace, more understanding. We can disagree. We can passionately debate about things, but we don't have to disown someone just because they decided that they love someone outside of their race.
Cringe Jean-Pierre, right? I guess it's a white woman. But, all of these women, they love white people, right? Okay, they love the great white pipe. They love all of it. I'm low-key surprised that Jasmine Crockett, she hasn't found her a nice white man, right? She hasn't went out and got her a vanilla smoothie. I'm surprised. Actually, I'm not, right? I'm not, because ultimately at the end of the day, she's single for a reason, right? And I think that's why she attacked Byron Donalds and his wife. The reason why she attacked his wife is because she wishes that she was Mrs. Donalds, right? And the fact is, she's 40 years old, single, lonely, okay, miserable, cranky. We can tell she's.
Well, I'm not sure if we know all that. And I don't wish singleness on anyone if they want to be in a relationship, but she does come across as a little bit salty. She's not someone that I could see myself with. I love my sister. My sister is feisty. My sister is educated, and my sister wouldn't, again, not because this sounds weird, so pause. But my sister's personality type is not one that would align with me, but I love her. Do you get what I'm saying? And Jasmine Crockett, I admire the fact that she's worked her way up. She's got a law degree. She's an intelligent woman. She doesn't project herself in that way a lot of the times, but I'm not going to be mad at her, and I'm not going to call her names or say she's lonely and miserable, because I don't know that. But if she does want somebody, then she might need to change some of the things that she says and does, because she does come across as someone that would be hard to deal with if you're the type of man that wants a woman who you can build with, someone that you can share your ideas. Because based on the way she projects herself, I think she's ruled out any man that has conservative viewpoints or maybe just thinks critically.
Clearly not very happy, okay? I mean, because if you're happy with your life, you can't run around with an attitude like that, right? With that type of attitude, you can't be happy. So clearly she's not happy. And I think that's why she was lashing out. I think she was jealous, right? I think she sees Byron Donalds' wife and she's like, how I let that black man get away, right? How I let that white woman take that black man away, right? I think that's what she thinks. I think it's jealousy. I really do. And that's why I think this story is so funny to me. Right? Because it's such a weird attack, right? It's such a weird angle, right? And she name dropped him. She name dropped him like that's something that she had been thinking about for a while, right? Like that's been on her mind. She just really been wanting to say out loud how much she just don't like the fact that Byron Donalds is with a white woman, right? Like, why do you care that much, right? Like, why? Like for real, why do you care that much? Just saying. But what Jasmine Crockett is too stupid to realize is that her attitude, the way that she carries herself, this stereotypical, ghetto, rude, narcissistic, annoying behavior that she's engaged in, right? This character of a black woman, okay, from the hood, that is why you're single, right? That is why black men are running away from those types of black women. And what a lot of these people don't realize that encourage this type of behavior is that the more black women find this to be acceptable, the more they engage in this type of behavior, the worse this trend is going to get, right? They already boo-hoo, whine, and cry about every black NFL athlete that's not with a black woman. They boo-hoo, whine, and cry. But they love it. They love it when the white boys, when they get them a black woman, they love that, okay? They idolize that, right? They idolize that. Vanilla chocolate, we love it, right? Like, this is what they do, okay? This is what they do. It's so funny to me, right? It really is. But at the same time, they supposed to hate the white man. But yet, when a black woman is with a white man, they act like it's the best thing ever, right? I just don't understand it. I really don't. I'm very confused by some of these individuals, okay? I really am. You know? So, again, I don't think that Jasmine Crockett is going to respond to Byron Donalds, okay? But it would be interesting. It would be fascinating if she did respond. I think ultimately at the end of the day, this is coming from a place of jealousy and hate. Jasmine Crockett, the behaviors that she's engaged in, and it's just not a good reflection on her upbringing. It's not a good reflection on her constituents. It's not a good reflection on the Democrat Party. And I, again, welcome Jasmine Crockett continuing to embarrass herself, okay, and to give me content to talk about. But on the other hand, Byron Donalds is running for governor of Florida, okay? So he's not just taking attacks from Jasmine Crockett. He's taking attacks from Ron DeSantis because...
And that was inevitable. And just to kind of go back on that, yeah, I would love to see the debate between Byron Donalds and AOC, or Byron Donalds and Jasmine Crockett, or Byron Donalds and anybody on the squad. I think he would body them. Like, I've just got to be honest, because I think once you get past the point of name calling and you're a racist and you're a sellout and blah, 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 all the things that they say about black conservatives, I think once you got down to the facts, because they're not used to having to engage in meaningful debate about facts, statistics, about ideas, because they're not used to anything other than friendly fire, I think the more compelling argument would come from the conservative side. And this is what we find quite often, that because they're used to friendly fire, they're used to friendly interviews. I mean, look at what happened to Kamala Harris. And this is kind of on the other side. So Sunny Hostin asked her a simple question during the presidential campaign, and it further derailed her entire campaign when she was just asked, what would you do differently than Biden? That was a friendly question. So imagine being on a debate stage where you're being asked objective questions, difficult questions, and you're up against someone who's used to always being challenged. And I think that's where the muscle memory and the strength of conservatives comes from, because a lot of conservatives, they're used to being the minority as far as their viewpoint. So they don't live in that echo chamber of support and always being told that their idea is right. Now, often a lot of the ideas are wrong, and a lot of the conservative views are wrong, just like on either side of the aisle. But I do find that to be a conservative, you do have to know your stuff a little bit more, because you are usually in a hostile environment. I think the pendulum's going to swing the other way, because younger people now are more open to being conservative. That will become the thing. And then, you know, they're both the same. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they're both the same. The people in power want to hold on to power and keep power. The people out of power have to find ways to convince people, and therefore need to have the facts in their favor more often than not. But this is going to be a very interesting time where we have the new media and more voices like Black Conservative Perspective and other people online, Benny Johnson, who are getting information out and are getting a lot of followers. I love this time where you have to look at ideas and not just be encamped in one idea. You have to start to think about both sides of the aisle.
Because I think Ron wants his wife to run, right? He wants to do some type of dynasty shadow governorship in Florida, I guess. I don't know. But I'm just saying, Byron is going to be taking some attacks, right? Byron Donalds is definitely going to be taking some attacks, because he's people that are going to be attacking him the most are not going to be white people. It's going to be black folks, right? I mean, there's literally like a niche section of YouTube, right, of black liberals who all they do is talk about black conservatives. That's all they do. They literally every video is just they're just hating on black conservatives because black conservatives are actually doing things right. Black conservatives are on the come up and they just hating. Okay, so again, they're trying to tear down Byron Donalds, right?
But with that said, I think there's also a part of the internet where people just talk about black liberals or black Democrats. Like there's a guy that I really like, Nate the Lawyer. I'll probably be doing some reaction videos to some of the stuff he does. But I find that most of his videos are about black females who have been put in positions for DEI purposes. I'll keep it real. So black female mayors, etc. And what they've done is they haven't taken advantage of that opportunity to do great things. They've done fraud. They've done things that everybody does and politicians do. But most of his news stories tend to be about liberal or democratic black females and all the ways that they mess up. So it is that thing that both sides kind of do the same thing, but because politically and economically, most of the structures tend to be more left-leaning, it then means that the conservative viewpoint is the countercultural viewpoint. But when it flips, it's going to be the exact same thing in the other direction.
There's a whole section of YouTube dedicated, like black people just dedicated to wishing for Byron's downfall, right? Which I think is a very weird thing to me, right? I think it's very, very, very weird because they'll say they're pro-black, right? And that they want so-called black empowerment, but for whatever reason, they don't want black empowerment for black conservatives. And it's like, well, if black conservatives are becoming more successful, doesn't that pave the way for other black people, whether they be conservative, liberal, or just black people in politics in general, right? See, again, for these people, they pretend that it's about racial empowerment, but it's not. It's about Democrat Party, liberal, progressive empowerment, okay? That's what it's really about. That's what it's really about. They hide the pro-Democrat activism behind the whole pro-black thing, right? I'm just looking out for black folks. Except black people I don't like. Black people I disagree with politically, screw them, right? I'm going to wish for their downfall. And that's like the funny thing about the Byron Donalds hate that I see. It's very fascinating to watch people claim to be pro-black while doing everything they can to tear down black people that just don't agree with them politically. It's actually fascinating. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.
Yeah, make sure that you support this channel and always check out the original video that I am commenting on. I will always call balls and strikes. As I always say, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a conservative leaning person who wants to be a critical thinker. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel and check out the reaction videos that I do.